Paul, you don't know where little John Bowden moved to.
So he lived over there on 221?
Moved from there.
Oh, I don't know. I can find out.
We'll find out, that's what we call.
I didn't know he moved.
Yeah.
What did he have out there last night? This is the third
I
neighborhood.
think this one is,
She's out today, cruising and
this
SUV.
is where the guy that lived in there too. That is what
Well, let me get it notarized. But she
Was that where
might
that-
have
where
to
he used to
find
live?
out when she's gonna be back,
Right next
or if the
to
judge wants somebody else to notarize it, like Julie.
Yeah.
Julie could do it.
Yeah.
It's okay.
So that's the second suicide man.
Oh, really?
That's language in here that we talked about yesterday.
They need to burn that house. They need to burn that house.
Right. No. That's there. I combined. Oh, I thought it said beer, oh, it's beer warehouse.
Oh, there will be refreshments.
What kind?
What
So
time?
this is,
So, beer warehouse, wouldn't that be nice?
And they have fun,
They probably are.
When they're
Kool-Aid.
our Polish people,
bottled water.
10
with
AM.
beer, tainted food. Hey, Ricky, your gas went up a dime over there at DP yesterday.
You sure did in the pop.
I asked that lady, she goes, I don't know what. But I stopped there every morning.
$3 from Walmart?
I know, but the one, that BP in Southern Springs went up a dime yesterday, usually they're $2.99.
If you use a card, it's $2.95 or $2.95
Oh.
at Walmart.
At Walmart?
Oh, really?
You have to
Yeah.
use a card,
I
you
don't have a
get
Walmart card.
5 or 6 cents off.
Is it a credit card or just a charge card or just?
Yeah.
It's a charge card. It's a Walmart card.
Yeah, we want to buy the card.
Oh, really?
You can go buy it, what a lot of people are doing. Like, HEB does it too.
Oh, yeah.
Certain ones out of the year.
Mm-hmm, not bad. I know they go buy $100 worth
I was
of,
talking to a guy this morning, he said he went to HEB yesterday, he said he put gas in his truck, he said he wanted to stop at $30. Wouldn't cut off. He said he kept trying to cut it off, wouldn't cut off. So he thought, well, I'll pull it out, stick it up on there and it'll cut off. I said, no.
It kept going.
He said, so I grabbed it. He said, I ended up at $47, we're probably about $12 over the ground.
Oh, wow.
Special meeting, Wilson County Commissioners Court, September 25th, 2014, 9 a.m. Sensation. Ms. Deaver, would you please pray?
Our Father, who art in heaven,
Hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Yeah, any public comment?
I put the sheet out and I made the announcement and I'm,
no,
let me go get the sheet.
Okay, item 3, Tom Duke, County Auditor. Item 1, set tax rate fiscal year 2015, 9 a.m.
Okay, Judge, you need to read that.
Just to cover there?
Yes, sir.
Okay, 111.010, levy of taxes and expenditure for funds under budget. Emergency Act expenditure budget transfer. A, the Commissioners Court may levy taxes only in accordance with the budget. B, After final approval of the budget, Commissioners Court may spend county funds only in strict compliance with the budget, except in an emergency. Item C, the Commissioners Court may authorize an emergency expenditure as an amendment to the original budget only in a case of grave public necessity to meet the unusual and unforeseen condition that could not have been included in the original budget. Though the use of the reasonably diligent thought and attention, if the court amends the original budget to meet an emergency, the court shall file a copy of its order amending the budget with the county clerk, and the clerk shall attach the copy of the original budget. D, the Commissioners Court, by order, may amend the budget to transfer an amount budgeted for one item or another budgeted items without authorizing an emergency expenditure.
Okay, Judge, and there's a motion there also, that needs to be read out in court regarding the tax.
That's right.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Motion on setting the tax rate. State of Texas, Wilson County. Order number in there?
It would be, 9-25-2014.
Order number 9-25-2014. I move that the property tax rate be increased by the adoption of the tax rate of .4738, which is effectively a 5.71% increase in the tax rate. Signed this 25th day of September 2014, the Commissioners Court of Wilson County, Texas. Does that includes the certificate of obligations
Yes, sir.
also
Yes, it does.
in that amendment? So, just so, that's when it's reported that people understand that does include that. Is there a motion to approve? Commissioner Gomez, second. Commissioner Wiley, all in favor? Okay, item 2, approve revenue increase 2015.
Okay. So this budget will raise more total property taxes than last year's budget by $549,519, which is 5.71% increase from last year's budget. And of that amount, $451,265 is tax revenue to be raised from new property added to the tax rolls this year. So members of Commissioners Court voting on the adoption of the increase in revenues.
Motion to approve item 2, approve revenue increase 2015. Motion from Commissioner Morales and Commissioner Fowle. Item 3, final line budget item transfers from 2014.
Okay, Commissioners, the judge just read the government code regarding budget amendments and transfers and so forth. I've listed out each department, line item transfers, and then next line item, agenda item is emergency, but everything that shows line item transfers, which is the second one, are items to be moved to cover expenses for the remainder of this year. Couple things I want to point out to you guys. Our IT budget is going to be $270 over, $207, and our IT director offered to write a check back to the county. That's on Mr. Holcomb knows, sir. I mean, this is a brand new budget. So everything's in line as far as the line item transfers and where it balances everything back out. So if there's a,
We need to vote on that, it just shows final line item.
yes, sir.
Okay, motion, Commissioner Wiley, Commissioner Gomez, all in favor? Item 4, emergency budget amendments.
Yes, that's what I just read the statute on that. I just wanted to point out, the general fund, if you go back about 5-6 pages, right now, our revenue as of today is over $96,658. All these budget changes amount to less than $100,000. So we're okay on that. Some of the items large items that I wanted to point out, for instance, page 3, I believe it's page 4, the building and yard. We have building repairs, 3 items compensated For the restroom, we did at elections office. We added a new AC unit, Judge, I believe, at elections office as well.
That is,
And then we paved the parking lot in front of the library, so those three items only amounted to $27,000. Next page, juvenile care. We're spending a lot more money on juveniles right now, that we have to house them, I believe, Judge, right, off-site when they come to court, from what my understanding is.
Yeah.
And that's why we had to increase that by $65,000. And from what our county attorney was saying, we're prosecuting a lot more cases, I guess, with the juveniles, right? Which, when the budget was done last year, previous auditor probably wasn't aware of all these additional costs.
Even with the additional prosecution of them now, it is still down to what it was several years ago. And primarily because when we moved the juvenile probation over to the alternative center, the continuity reduced the numbers being involved, but they're creeping back up again, but it did make a tremendous.
When we did next year's budget, I compensated for that, I put enough extra money in there for the juvenile care. And then I also listed on the far right what our fund balance was at the end of the year, so you can see our general fund, we had $4,106,233. And if we get into the commissioners' budgets, I listed also what y'all's fund balances were, and I listed how much y'all are over on revenue right now, which could probably be more over on revenue before the end of the year, because there'll still be deposits coming in from the tax office and so forth. And I spoke to each of the commissioners regarding these emergency line transfers. I mean, the goal with the outside auditor is to try to be as close as we can on the budget. I mean, we don't want.
One thing on the transfer of those with the commissioners, what makes it very important that it is for paving roads and everything, because they have to save some time in order to pave them, so
Correct.
they carry it over for that
Right,
reason.
right. And then, let's see if there's anything else that stands out. Same situation, most of these funds had monies left over, and I listed all the fund balances from the previous years. All these emergency transfers, there's money there to cover. The library, she had a bunch of work done around her area, so that's the reason why she's got $24,000 that we're transferring out. Microfilm, that was just a budget item, was too low for last year, but the revenues were already $60,000 over. These other telephone, inmate, so forth, all these are just balances that we could use from previous years that substantiate all these expenses for this year, jail bond and so forth. On one of the other items, Judge, I wanted to point out, you were talking about carryovers. Next year, when we amend the budget, we understand our insurance costs may come in lower, so when we amend the budget, once we get our final numbers, we're able to put a line item from the previous balances where the commissioners can draw off those line items, so we won't have to do emergency amendment. We can put that revenue up there and then put expenditure line item, kind of like what we did with the courthouse, that we never used the $2 million for. And then we won't have this emergency situation. These guys will know what they can use and need throughout the year.
So we'll have our budget, whatever that is,
Yes.
that we have, and then we'll have a line item that will show this
The fund
carryover,
balance,
that the
yes.
fund balance
Correct.
carryover.
And then that line item y'all want to use. Yes, sir. I think that'd just be a lot easier. Atascosa does it that way, and it'd be a lot easier on the commissioners as well.
I agree.
Tom, when does FEMA fire reimbursement?
it was part of
That
this.
account was supposed to be closed out.
Yeah.
And y'all voted for it, she just hasn't closed it out yet. That was an old, it was renamed, but it's really not a FEMA reimbursement account. It was, had something to do with EMA, but those are monies that come back, once it's closed out, back to the general fund.
Okay, on item 4, budget, emergency budget amendment, fiscal year 2014, motion. Commissioner Collins, Commissioner File, all things. Okay, item 4, Leon Bochamp,
Can
Leon.
I ask? Well, let me ask a question.
Yes, ma'am.
No, but you can go on, Judge. I'll ask a question.
Leon Bochamp, EMC 1, subdivision, Oakfield, Unit 5. A, discuss and take action on release of construction letter of credit. That would be in Oakfield, that would be precinct 4.
I did the final inspection with our engineer, and everything is as it should be.
Motion, Commissioner Wiley, Commissioner Morales, all in favor?
Aye.
Item B, discuss and take action on acceptance of banking credit, letter of credit to $26,100. Motion, Commissioner Wiley, second, Commissioner Morales. Item C, discussion and take action on acceptance of dedication of conveyance of roads. Motion, Commissioner Wiley, second, Commissioner Morales. Everyone was in favor of all those. Thank you.
Okay, this was just in the back.
Yeah.
Okay, cool, all right, I just want to make sure. Okay, thank you. That's just the first two pages of.
How much is the, what is the effective tax rate? 47.3.
Thank you.
Yeah.
This is the question for overall tax rate. How much you got
This part, and then
from
if
last
you
year?
get notarized.
I know.
Year before.
I was trying to put it on.
And this is what they take, this is how much we are.
Fund balance. Item, you can see that in the budget.
You take the good ones with yours.
Yeah.
44.3.
Yes, sir, and then this is for the debt.
We're adjourned.
Okay.
Sorry, Paul, but it was orange.
What do you think? Last night they just tried to translate it, right? I need to. That's what I get. As a matter of fact, what's that in my left from Sauce? When we was at the meeting over there, he said, I don't want Wilson County involved in this, and I listened to him, well, what he's talking about. I agree with him. But leaving me involved in it, we got a grant. We got a grant. That's all that is.
That's all they do.
They don't want to get the problem up there.
That's right.
You know. But it's our problem, it's
Because it comes down to
right
strength.
now.
Yeah.
And I think they are working to fix it, but I mean, like I said, it's,
They're spending lots of money.